Deathloop's Black Reef changed the way I play games, and made me behave in a way that's not in my nature.
2021 is set to go down as the year of the time loop game, and Deathloop, the brand new game from famed developer Arkane, is set to be the biggest and most bombastic entry in this subgenre yet.
Deathloop is GameSpot's Game of the Year for 2021.
Deathloop is slick and inventive, with a delicious sense of style and humour. It distills Arkane's hefty systems into...
The best action game of 2021 goes to Arkane's Deathloop. It's an immersive sim set in a time
and the
loop.
award
You'll need
for
to
best
either
game
break
direction
or protect
goes
the loop.
to Deathloop.
Number 10.
Time is on my side.
My first game is a controversial pick, to be sure, as this game actually won Game of the Year on many outlets' lists.
Deathloop is a 2021 first-person shooter, developed by Arkane Studio and published by Bethesda Softworks. At its release, it received some 10 out of 10 masterpiece reviews. However, some people didn't agree with this, and among those people was none other than Angry Joe and his crew. So the question now is, why? What happened? And what created this sort of a controversy surrounding this game? If you have already played Deathloop, then you know the deal, and you have your own opinion about this game, but let's review it for those who haven't touched it yet. There will be no spoilers in the beginning, then we are going to be jumping into a spoiler discussion of the game. Deathloop is an immersive sim, first-person shooter, an action game, and it is technically an open-world game. However, not really. This game has a fast pace, it is dynamic, and the combat are fast, quick, and aggressive. This is also an Arkane game, so you have a lot of Arkane tricks in it. In this game in particular, you have slaps. Slaps are Arkane-style superpowers. You saw this in Dishonored, you saw this in Prey. Okay, so you have 5 different slaps, 5 different superpowers. You have invisibility, you have the ability to link people between them and kill multiple targets at the same time. You can teleport yourself. This is straight from Dishonored. You have the ability to enrage yourself, sort of a travel ability from GTA 5 or Kratos Rage. And you can also sort of push people around using your telekinesis. There are a lot of different weapons, however, the choice isn't that big. You don't have rocket launchers, for example. You don't have any grenade launchers. You technically have 5 or 6 type of weapons. You have guns, you have shotguns, you have rifles, sniper rifles, and machine guns. Weapons do also come with their own special abilities. For example, some weapons can replenish your health. Some weapons are very silent and quiet. Some weapons can have explosive bullets, and it continues then on. But you also have simple weapons, just normal guns. You only have one type of grenade, which is technically 4 types of grenade in one. You have a landmine, you have a proximity mine, a laser mine, and a normal grenade. The hacking system is another system that was introduced in this game. You can hack doorways, you can hack cameras, you can hack turrets in order to use them to your own advantage. You can hack some of the things that surround your enemies in order to distract them and attract their attention. This game is driven by exploration and detective work. You have 4 different locations that you can freely explore, and you need to look for clues. In this game, for instance, the clues are documents and tapes that you can read and listen in order to progress in the story and reveal some part of the story that stay hidden for you. The mission's objectives mostly consist of leads. You follow leads and you find more information in order to unlock other leads, in order to find more information in order to progress into the story. In this game you have 4 different locations that you can access in basically 4 different times of the day. Your actions will have consequences during the day. For instance, if you have done something in the morning, it will have consequences during the evening or during the later hours of the day. For example, if you save somebody in the morning who has his own store in the game, his store will be open later in the day because you saved him. However, if he dies, his store will be closed to you. This game also features multiple endings, but we will talk about this a little bit later. Okay, now let's talk about the story of Deathloop. Colt, your character, wakes up on the island and he realizes that he has amnesia. He basically remembers nothing of what had happened to him before, prior to this. He soon realizes that he is stuck on an island which is stuck in a time loop, and there is a woman who is stalking him and trying to kill him every time because she thinks that you are trying to break the loop, which you will be trying to do later. This woman's name is Juliana, and this is where the questions are all raised. Who is this woman? Why is she trying to kill you? And why is she trying to protect the loop? Then the question that you can ask yourself is, where does this island come from? Why is it stuck in a time loop? And all of this will basically get its own answers as long as you progress in the game, as long as you explore and find more clues. In the story of the game, there are 6 or 7 visionaries that are basically the bosses, the main bosses in this game. They are the people who created this whole basically scenario of multiple people stuck on an island in a time loop, and this is basically our eternal life for them. They are offering some goons an eternal life in exchange of them worshipping them as their sort of a visionary king's leaders. And then you have those goons, the Eternalists. The Eternalists are basically criminals or just people who had no life and accepted to take part of this initiative, of this sort of a event, like to travel on this island and accept to get stuck in a time loop forever. Then you have Colt, the main character. He realizes that he needs to break the loop in order to escape the island and also basically free everybody else, because the visionaries and everybody else around them don't really realize what they are doing in Colt's opinion, and this all seemed bad to him. So basically this is the plot of the story. You are Colt, you're stuck in an island which is stuck in a time loop, and you're trying to break this loop. Juliana is trying to stop you, and you find out that in order to break this damn loop, you need to kill all the 7 visionaries on this island in the same day. Okay, now let's talk about the spoilers of the story and let's have a deep discussion and deep dive into all the main plots. So first of all, as long as you play the game, you realize that Colt, your main character, is also one of the visionaries. He participated in the creation of this sort of island, this initiative, this whole thing, and he is one of the guys who basically started all of this. Then you find out the truth about Juliana, and yeah, the big sort of a reveal in the story is that she is your daughter. How the fuck this happened? You need to kind of look more into the lore of the game. I didn't do so too much, like I've kind of a little bit rushed through the game, but still, from what I understand, you left the island, you had a girlfriend, she was pregnant, she gave birth to Juliana, who came to this island 20 years later when she grew up, and she basically found her father. Okay, now let's talk about what happened to Colt in between the events of the beginning of this whole island, this whole like eternal loop, and going up to the event of the beginning of the game. So Colt basically left the island, and he left his daughter, he left everybody else because he didn't want to be part of this anymore. After some time he came back again, and from what I understand, he did this multiple times, and every time he came back trying to break the loop, and Juliana was always trying to stop him because she loves being in this time loop. She loves like this feeling of eternal life, this feeling that she is invincible, and the feeling that she can do whatever she wants. She also kind of tries to tease some more about this whole Deathloop anomaly and this whole thing, but we will talk about this a little bit later. Okay, we also realize that Colt and Juliana have multiple versions of themselves, some sort of a like living on this island. I didn't really understand how this was possible, basically from what I think is that the time loop is repeating itself always, multiple times, and they found a way to travel between loops. Basically, the time loop is infinite, which means that there are infinite versions of Colts and Julianas who can travel to all the time loops, and they don't care if they die because they will eventually wake up again the same day. So Juliana is using multiple versions of herself to hunt you throughout the day, and this is how you realize that you can kill Juliana in the morning and she will still come back and haunt you later on during the day, because she is not technically doing it herself, but other versions of herself are coming into your time loop and trying to kill you. Different versions of Colts are here to lead you, to tell you, give you intel about what happened, and they also sometimes seem to have other preoccupation or other interest in some, like, the story or what's happening in this game. I didn't really understand all the interactions with younger versions of Colt, but I think that this is just explaining that he went through different stages where he realized how kind of sick this whole idea of a time loop and eternal life was, and he was trying to stop this. Okay, now let's talk about those multiple endings. This is probably the main disappointing thing in this whole game. You have 3 different endings. Basically you have only 2, because one of them is just some sort of a way to restart from the last mission, which you'll do eventually even when you finish the game with one of the top 2 choices. One of the choices in the game is breaking the loop. The other choice is leaving the loop as it is and living a happy life there with Juliana, your daughter. So how this whole thing happened? Colt find a way to kill all the 7 visionaries on this island. But the thing is that Colt and Juliana are also visionaries, so he needs to kill her and himself in that same day in order to break the loop. So you do all this mission, you find your way to Juliana where she is hiding, and she meets you and she greets you, basically telling you, listen, I'm giving you a choice, a real choice. I promise you, like, this is where she's teasing something else, something beyond what we saw in this time loop, this whole thing. She's promising other times, she's promising like trips or voyages into other worlds, something like that. And I was quite disappointed that we didn't really see anything of this by the end of the game or in the game itself at all. So she's telling you that, and then you have the choice. You have basically Juliana and Colt have 2 guns pointed at each other, and she's counting up to 3, and if you shoot her you will break the loop. She will not die. I thought at the beginning when I was playing the first time, I thought that she died. So she was counting to 3, I think, or to 1, and I thought that she was gonna shoot me too, so I shoot. Like I took my chances, and when she said 1 or 3, I don't remember, I shot the gun and I killed her. But I thought at this time that I killed her for real, because at some point of the game she told Colt, like, we are not sure if by killing all the visionaries and breaking the loop we will come back to life the next day. So I restarted the game because I was afraid that I killed Juliana for nothing, and she didn't shoot me either, which I was thinking she was going to do. So I replayed it and I didn't do anything. And basically at the end both characters are like putting their guns down and the loop restarts. You wake up on the island again, the same scene. However, this time around you have Juliana here greeting you and telling you, yo dad, so what are we going to do? And you realize that this is a happy ending. They will be living happy eternal life on this island until eventually, if they decide to break the loop, they can do it whenever they want. Okay, now let's talk about the good parts of the game and the bad parts of the game, like the good and the bad. What is good about this game? First of all, the whole action genre itself and the whole immersive sim. You have a lot of freedom, the gameplay is fun, it's kind of engaging, you can do many things in this game, you can play truly the way that you want, as long as you like in this sort of a frame that they give you. You can have your gameplay as a stealth gameplay, you can have your gameplay as a ruthless, like enraged motherfucker gameplay. You can do both, you can do whatever you want. You can use different superpowers, you can approach missions the way you want to do it. You can even kinda build your last sort of a mission, your last day, when you will kill all the visionaries and end this game, end the story the way that you want. Basically, like, you have some choices. I think you have a lot of freedom in this game, and this is good also, and the exploration is engaging. You have a lot of space, a lot of places to explore, and you technically, in the beginning at least, you want to discover the truth about this whole place, about yourself, about Juliana, which makes you want to explore and find out more. The interactions between Colt and Juliana are also great. Whenever you start a mission, whenever you come to a location, she's always communicating with you through this device that you have, which looks like a radio, which also allows you basically to hack everything in the game. And those interactions between Colt and Juliana are actually very good, and they are entertaining. But now let's talk about the bad parts of this game, because there's more bad things than there are good. First of all, the rinse and repeat. Yeah, this is what this game is by the end of it. You are doing the same things over and over and over again. When you try to be like the stealth guy, now playing this game in stealth fashion, when you try to play this game in like brutal fashion, when you did this multiple times, it becomes repetitive and it doesn't really seem like it's innovating itself as long as you progress in the game. As long as you have the 5 superpowers, as long as you have all the upgrades, you are basically good to go. And this rinse and repeat mechanic is very disengaging, because by your probably 6th, 7th hours of the game, if you are like me, you will begin to get sort of bored, because you will be doing the same thing over and over again with the same stupid AI, which is another bad point of the game, because the AI is stupid and it doesn't even seem alive. This is one of the reasons why I didn't like the masks in the game, because every single Eternalist has a mask on its face, and it seems like you are fighting lifeless video game, like pre-rendered NPCs, like weird sort of a figure, and it doesn't really seem kinda real. Then there is the lack of options and the lack of interactions with your environment. Yes, you can hack some things to distract your enemies. Yes, you can sort of find different ways to kill those visionaries. And yes, sometimes you can act, like I said in the beginning, you can do something during the day which will have consequences later on in the day, but those options are very limited, and by the middle of the game you will feel like there's nothing more to do in this game. Like, there's no more options, there's nothing new that you can do or create in the game in order to see what will happen. Because first of all, a time loop mechanic is very engaging in like seeing what will your action have as consequences, and it's the same thing like the butterfly effect. You want to do something and you want to see what will happen. You want to do something else and you want to see what will happen now. You want to do something even different, more different than those first 2 times, and you want to see what will happen this time around. And in this game it's not really the case. Like, you are limited in those options. This game also lacks interactions. For instance, you can play as Juliana in an online mode. I did not play online, I was playing this whole game offline. I was never invaded by Juliana, who is another player from another game. I was only invaded by AI because I did not care. But the thing is that Juliana has this sort of a 6th slap, another superpower which allows her to disguise herself into one of the Eternalists, and Colt doesn't have this power. But the question is why? This would have been one of the most interesting mechanics to put in a game like this. If you can disguise yourself as one of the Eternalists, and you can also talk to them to gain more information and know more about this world. because why would you only get like clues from tapes and like notes, while you can go and talk to some of the journalists. Sometimes they talk between each other and you can listen to their conversations and you will gain more clues, something like that. But why didn't we have the option to go talk to them ourselves and be in disguise? This would have been a lot more interesting. And this is basically applies to anything in this game. There is a lack of details, attention to details, and there's a lack of sort of options for you to interact with the environment and have an impact on the environment as the loop progresses. The story is interesting, but the development is kind of lacking in something more. There is a lack of an interesting story development, because as long as you progress in the game, you learn things about yourself, but it doesn't seem as interesting as you would want it to be. I had my own theories while I was playing. I was thinking this and that about the story, and I was thinking this will be revealed and this will be revealed, and then by the end of the game, when I will have my master plan to kill everybody else, it will not work because something else will be revealed, and it will throw me all the way back and make me restart the whole thing and trying to find a whole new way. And I thought that this was gonna be like that, but it wasn't at all. It seems kinda too easy, and the story seems to fall flat on its face by the end. Juliana's motivations are also kinda weird, and her own actions are kinda weird too, because at one point she tells you that she can basically come and see you every morning right before you wake up and shoot you in the face, but she never does that because she wakes up first. So basically she can like kill the cold problem by going to that fucking beach where you wake up and shoot you in the face every morning. And that way you will never be able to break the loop, you will never be able to do anything. Maybe she's not doing this because you are her father and she is not as crazy as it seems, but maybe she was doing this for like years and years, and then she decided to leave you alone and see what will happen. But none of this is explained or talked about in the game, so we can only speculate. And like I said, the ending seems too easy and very underwhelming. The choices are underwhelming. When I learned that there are 3 possible endings in the game, I was thinking like, okay, so I think that if you rushed through the game, you will get a particular like normal ending. If you explore a lot and you find more about the story, you can some sort of a twist the game and twist everything in order to give you another ending, and there will probably be a third secret cool ending. But at the end of the day, all 3 endings are basically almost the same and very underwhelming and kind of stupid. What does this all mean? It means that your exploration, even if it is engaging, it is not rewarding, because no matter how much or how greatly you will explore this game, how much secrets you will unfold, like you will never be able to change the end of the game, you will never be able to act on the last mission. Maybe you will be able to make it easier for you, but it's already as easy as it can be, and I played like probably the hardest version of this ending, and it was very easy and very underwhelming, and I was expecting a lot more. Like I said, I was expecting to see my whole plan just fall flat, not work, and to be like forced to go back, step back, like take all my leads, like take this whole board down from the wall and start again, because this didn't work. But the story didn't do that, the game didn't do that. It was easy, it was quick, and it wasn't very impressive. And this is basically all the bad points that I have to say about the game. What I can say to you is that, yes, the idea is great, but the execution is kind of bad. The game is interesting only during the first 3, maybe 5 hours, then it becomes repetitive, then As long as you progress, you only progress only to discover the story elements, and even then you become overwhelmed, I would say, rather quickly. So this game lacks in attention to details, attention to give this world a lot more to do in. This world lacks in development. The game seems like unfinished. This game seems like it was done only to it 70, maybe 60%, and the rest of it was like, oh, whatever. So if this game had a lot more attention to detail, if it had a lot more development of this world, a lot more development of the story, more options for the ending, more things to do, more things to explore, more things to interact with, a lot more ways to play the game. To me, this would have truly been a masterpiece. But for now, I have to completely agree with Angry Joe. The game falls flat. It was overhyped. I don't know why. I don't know why IGN and all those GameSpot and all those guys gave it a masterpiece 10 out of 10, while the game doesn't really give you anything too impressive. Because we live in the days where games like Red Dead Redemption 2 exist. Games that have so much details, so much work done on the development of this whole huge world. So many things to do, so many things to interact with. People still to this day keep on finding new things to do, new things that never been seen in this game. And you have Deathloop, which is great on paper, which is interesting, and it is fun. But like I said, 5-6 hours in and you become to feel overwhelmed. You become to feel like this is not the game that everybody promised to you. And I think this is exactly what Angry Joe felt, and this is why he found it disappointing. It put it most disappointing games of the year because, quite simply, it does not live up to the expectations that were created because of the reviews, because of all the people calling it a masterpiece. Before the reviews, nobody expected anything from the game. After the game came out, everybody was saying this is a masterpiece. And yeah, you overhyped everybody, and it kind of fell flat for those people. I will not say that this game is bad. The game is good. The game is really good. But it is not the 10 out of 10 masterpiece that you are calling it, or some people are calling it. And I'm sure many people will agree with Angry Joe like I do. But yeah, if you have your own opinion, tell me what you think about the game. Tell me especially what you think about the story. And tell me what you think should have been added into the game to really make it a great game. And if you have anything else to note that I'm probably forgot to say about the game, so yeah, let it down. And I hope that maybe if Deathloop 2 is a thing, and if it will be announced or released or in production someday, I hope that they will take note from everything that those people are saying, people like me, like Angry Joe, and they will make Deathloop 2 a real deal, like something that you can truly call a game of the year. But for now, it is what it is, and yeah. Okay, so let me know what you think about the game itself, and if you agree with Angry Joe or disagree. And yeah, we will see what will happen next surrounding this game.
Propagation. Electron. Supercilious. Cheese wheel. Macabre. Deity. Swine pox. Hardwire. Louse wart. Larch. Test flight. Analog. Schematic. Eponymous. Propagation. Barnacle. Tourniquet. Chronological. Smelter. Juliana. Spittoon. Like that word. Spittoon. Female. Retroactive. Justified. Super.